right. So there you go. We are back. By the way, I have my stream open to you, Krogan. You got that on whatever?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, how's it going, guys? Have you guys been watching the whole Washington, D.C. thing? I know, Krogan, you said you haven't been, like, following it super close yourself?
No, I've been watching. I mean, I've seen little tidbits, like little posts in Telegram and whatnot, but I haven't been following anybody's particular commentary on it. Some of the things I've seen are potentially exciting. Like, I really love the idea that somebody's sitting in Nancy Pelosi's office right now reading her emails. That's great, but one, did it really happen? And if it did really happen, I mean, that's still great, don't get me wrong, but what's that really going to translate to in the end? I don't know. I'm not trying to be super black-pilled, but I just think people need to measure or rein in their expectations a little bit. Like, if I had to bet money right now, I mean, I think Biden's going to get the presidency, and pretty much what's going to happen is, Biden and Harris are going to get the presidency. That's that. I don't know. What's your response to everything going on right now?
Well, nothing I've seen so far has surprised me. If you follow the guy at Radical Centrism on Twitter, he was talking about how he wanted to go on a Twitter vacation, like, yesterday, and I'm like, tomorrow's the 6th. I mean, tomorrow's the day where all the MAGA folks are going into town, and it's like Trump's opportunity for a last stand. He said riots always brought him back to Twitter, and I'm like, well, yeah, I mean, of course we're going to have riots today, right? Today, we'd have riots, we'd have, a chance for some large political movement. Nothing that I've seen has shocked me yet. Nothing that I wasn't already predicting. It's interesting to see the way Trump has responded to it. He put out those videos and messages. One, asking people to stop being violent, but also, of course, telling people that the reason that they're fighting is still legitimate, right? Which is a very important crafted message, telling people, hey, yes, this election was stolen from you, but stop being violent, which is a very interesting message. It sort of reminds me of Mark Antony talking about Julius Caesar. After Julius Caesar's death, there was a big vote in the Senate, and they affirmed that the assassination of Julius Caesar was correct, but that the violence had to stop. And so Mark Antony sort of said something to the effect of, yes, a crowd of people who love Caesar, I feel your pain, I know what's going on, but, I guess we just have to be law and order now because that's what we've all agreed upon. He was suggesting that he would like to take revenge against the people who wronged Caesar, but he couldn't because, trying to keep society together. And that speech was helpful in riling the people up more to, they trashed the whole city, and that ultimately led to the ending of the Roman Republic. So what he's saying there kind of reminds me of Mark Antony. I think it's fairly well crafted what he's saying. He is.
Well,
go ahead.
Maybe you should expound upon or maybe you should reiterate what you were telling me a little bit earlier before we went live, and that's that it's interesting that the left usually compares Trump to Hitler, when in fact there's probably the better comparison is Trump and Julius Caesar. Maybe you want to kind of do a condensed version of what you told me.
Yeah. Yourself says friends, Romans, countrymen. Yeah, that's the what is it called? The Shakespearean fiction of Mark Antony's speech. The real speech was different, but that like the Shakespearean version is so well written that it's extremely popular. I mean, I'd say that in general, like the left likes to compare Trump to Hitler. I think the comparisons are weak at best. He has a lot more in common with Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar at the time would have, around the time of his assassination in 44 BC, would have been very unpopular with the aristocracy of Rome, right? The wealthy, connected people of Rome did not like Julius Caesar. The average Roman, poor people, they liked Julius Caesar, and also the what's it called? The his legions. The army would have loved Julius Caesar, and so does our army. If you look at the donation statistics, like who's donating money to Trump's campaigns, it's the army overwhelmingly. Foot soldiers.
It seems like the U.S. military has this weird split. Like there's this segment of the higher echelons of the military that are still leftist and very leftist. But there are some key individuals within the higher echelons who are super supportive of Trump. Then when you get to the grunts, so to speak, the lower tiers of the military, it's pretty much something like a 70-30 split, in favor of Trump, something like that. I don't remember the exact numbers, but it's interesting whenever I've looked at figures how they've played out for Trump versus Democrats and whatnot.
Well, Trump has replaced a lot of the. Trump has appointed many people in the military, right?
Right.
The upper echelons. The question is, and one of the bigger differences between Trump and Julius Caesar was especially good at navigating the Roman system to get his loyalists in positions of power, right? Like that was probably one of the best things Julius Caesar did for himself. And my interpretation of Trump is that he's generally been bad at surrounding himself with loyalists and getting people in, like Amy Coney Barrett. I mean, you look at any of the 3 seats he got for the Supreme Court, he didn't put anyone especially loyal to him on there. And then he surrounded himself with advisors like John Bolton.
Well, yeah, well, right. Well, the latter point about John Bolton doesn't. I guess I'll speak to the first point first. I think with some of the individuals he's picked for the Supreme Court and other things, he's tried to placate the left too much. He's tried to find these characters who are supposedly middle of the road and whatnot, and it's just maybe that was a genuine strategy on his part. Maybe he thought he would be able to bridge some divide, or maybe it's just more of a matter of controlled opposition. Nothing will be effective if we pick people like this, because in the end they'll cave to all the most neoliberal and egalitarian talking. This is what you're doing here is a bit distracting. So I can't really say whether or not I think Trump purposely picked somebody like Barrett, with the sincere desire to appease some people, or if he knew that she really wouldn't do anything, and I don't know. I just lean on. I really lean toward the idea that he's just kind of he's controlled opposition of a sort. He's never really intended to do much of anything. He is to us basically what Boris Johnson and the Tories and whatnot are to nationalist sentiments in the UK.
Yeah.
We'll talk a big talk for a while, and in the end, we'll give 3 million Hong Kongers citizenship, or we'll talk about doing that. It's because that's the thing. You see that sort of paradigm play out in all these Western countries, and I guess phenomenologically, you could say, well, they're all trying to appease the status quo, but it's what do they get in the end for trying to appease that? They get nothing. They lose.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, if you're sincere, you're better just to go all out. You're better just to go and pick somebody for the Supreme Court who's going to overtly say some pretty wild shit. The founding fathers were white nationalists. Might as well.
Yeah, so I mean, the what's it called? The Supreme Court. I mean, that's tough because of course the Senate has to confirm it. right? And he doesn't have enough of his loyalists on the Senate to just confirm anybody. That being said, is really Amy Coney Barrett the best he could get? That's the most radical, so to speak, loyalist he could get, and still get her confirmed by the Senate? I mean, geez, I don't think that's true.
Well, if we're gonna look at it from that angle, I would say yeah.
Really?
He wasn't gonna. Yeah, I would say that there would be no chance in hell of him getting anybody else that was less milquetoast than that.
I mean, she's not even milquetoast. She gets up and says, anything men can do, women can do better.
Okay.
It's like she's a raging, crazy feminist.
I'm not disagreeing with you at all. I'm just saying I think the Overton window and the status quo paradigm at this point is such that that's literally, if your main concern is the Senate going to confirm this person? Yeah, I think I don't know how much better he could have done than Barrett. But at that point, it's just like, why are we even playing this game? Like, we're going to lose no matter what. Like, it's a losing game to play.
I think he could have gotten someone better.
Okay. I mean, that's fair.
It's not that they have to have the right talking points, it's that they have to be a loyalist, right? Because that's what we're really talking about. A true loyalist. But MGS on Twitch says, the TRS guys say that these days feel like the last days of the Soviet Union. The last days of the Soviet Union? I don't know that much about the historical historical situation that came with the breakup of the Soviet Union to compare it honestly.
If you can, whoever said that, if you can post a link to that,
he's on Twitch.
That. Okay.
Dude, you'd have to look at the Twitch chat.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I would be curious to hear the TRS guys hash that out, because I think that's plausible, but it doesn't. Can't piece that all together. The pieces don't fall in place for me. That immediately. I mean, generally, I would say that the system we're currently in is a lot stronger and a lot more robust than a lot of people want to give it credit for. I don't think we're... I do think we're close to a kind of paradigm shift, but I don't think we're like January, February close. I think we're like 5 years to a decade close, and I guess I would fall more toward. So are you actually playing the game now, like purposefully, or are you gonna like reload?
No, I'm gonna kill this guy.
Oh, okay. What was the rationale for killing him?
Caesar told us to kill him.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Yeah, that's the mission that Caesar left us off with. He wanted to come up here and kill Mr. House. So there he is.
Okay.
So we gotta kill him.
Discord froze for me. Can you still hear me?
Yes. Well. It isn't Mr. House. You don't look like your picture. Worst blind date ever, Mr. House.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, all right. Everything froze for a minute, so... Now, let's check here. When you read the eulogy, you're pretty sure that it was Mr. House who wrote it himself and it's an automated thing that goes out?
I'm pretty sure, something like that. I don't know if he wrote it himself, but I think it goes out automatically on his death.
It does.
Based off of it being hooked up to this stuff, right? This is probably holding the eulogy right now. Let's talk to him.
Why have you done this? Centuries of preparation. So much good undone.
Thanks for the ice cream, Kaiser. I'll just say by Caesar's command, you will die.
Slavery, the future of mankind. What have you done.
It's interesting
Yeah,
there.
I mean, I mean, immediately he defaults to like that would be slavery, and it's like,
He
yeah,
has an
like
empire of people who are in
right,
part funding him through addictions to drugs and gambling. I mean, their lives are being absolutely destroyed. But no,
right,
he's high and mighty because he doesn't engage in slavery. He will build an empire off of suffering and then accuse you of being a bad person for engaging in some amount of slavery. And
yeah. I
again,
mean,
the slavery in this game is like this weird emotional manipulation of what Roman slavery actually looked like.
well, okay, there's all that, but it's like some gamers might try to play developer's advocate here and say, well, they're kind of demonizing Mr. House, but are they? I don't. Again, like you would say that the developers kind of lean toward pushing the player toward yes man. I don't know that they did. I feel like it's either the NCR or Mr. House who is really who the developers were pushing you toward. I mean, I think you're supposed to. Maybe I need to play this again, but I feel like, from what I remember, that the developers had a kind of affinity for Mr. House, and that this scene here was supposed to be like, man, you really did something morally reprehensible. Like, I think, yeah, I just kind of take this scene here at face value. Anyway.
So I'm going to say it's time for you to die, Mr. House.
May there be a hell for you. A Tartarus, bleak, unending.
Boom. There you go. So, MGS says TRS about the Soviet Union theory is on the front page of TRS, their .biz website. The stream is going on now, he says. And then MGS says, slavery versus global oligarchy. Interesting difference. Radical Zoomer says Trump just got suspended from Twitter for 12 hours. Oh, wow. Wow. Now that's interesting. Oh, Mr. House is dead. His grand dream for New Vegas will never be realized. Just said that on the screen. Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, when do you, let's see if you get the eulogy now.
Yes. A tragedy has befallen kind. This is it. Robert Edwin House, 261 years old, president, CEO, and sole proprietor of New Vegas Strip, industrialist and technologist, founder, president, and CEO of multi-billion-dollar pre-war robotics and software corporation Robco Industries, has died. He's been recognized as mankind's only hope for long-term survival. Mr. House passing away, passing may well sound a death knell for the entire human race. Lost forever is his bounty of knowledge concerning human longevity. Blah, blah, blah. How many people die at 261? I mean, come on. We lost his force of will, vision, leadership ability. The probability of an equally capable figure emerging from the current human population to lead mankind is less than 0.000112%. Lots of things.
Yeah, I mean, like, you could make the case that in some of these lines they're being comedic, but, like, you got to remember that sometimes our people,
son,
our
where'd
guys,
you find
make
this?
points that they legitimately agree with, and they're kind of comedic about it.
Yeah.
So there's that. Like, they could be supportive of Mr. House and still kind of periodically make fun of him in a
I mean,
in a
it's
weird-
obviously supportive of Mr. House. It's just over the top, right?
Mr. House, President, CEO, and sole proprietor of the Vegas Strip are still available. Just ask any Securitron.
Thanks for the diamond, Archiver. Appreciate it. Radical Zoomer says the poor guy can't monitor the situation.
Yeah,
He's
just read that.
suspended. All right. Well, guess we're all good on the strip again.
Welcome to the Vegas Strip.
Can I quick travel?
From inside the strip, yes. You just have to be outside on the strip.
Hey, listen.
By order of Caesar, all visitors must disarm and release.
All
I don't
right.
know if you want all the fast travel markers to be unlocked at this point, but there is a console command for that if you want to unlock them all.
I think we'll keep it like it is. I don't think we really need it. Froggy says, what route S/ending are you going? I mean, we're supporting Caesar's Legion, right? So, and I think we're going to keep him alive. MGS says, poor Drumpf. With a sad
And we're
face.
supporting Caesar's Legion because in real life we actually support slavery. Burger. I guess, do you want to check real quick if, well, you already went in. I was wondering if Benny was still...
Benny was, we walked by Benny's body on the ground.
Okay. I did not...
Because I threw him off the cliff and took his... He was the naked, he was the body in his underwear that we passed.
I did see that, yeah. So,
because I took his suit.
He stays there for a pretty long time.
Yeah. I think it stays there permanently, doesn't it?
If it's not gone after 3 or 4 in-game days, it's probably there, unless some kind of quest triggers it to be...
I suspect you'll be a valuable
I don't
asset
think
to the
that's the
Legion. Assuming you're really on our side, of course.
Was there something you needed me to do?
There's a gambler, Martina Grosbeck, who has a knack for learning other people's secrets and passing that information along for a price.
You know some of yours?
The Omertas, who run Gomorrah, have become suspicious of Martina's frequent visits to their casino. Soon they'll pay her a visit of their own.
I'll consider it.
If you have to. I really don't see what there is to consider.
Okay. How about you?
Hey.
Oh, no, you're just a regular guy. Okay, talking to Caesar. Let's see what he says.
I've read Mr. House's obituary. Had a high opinion of himself, didn't he? With Mr. House out of the way, I can
Yeah, he
focus
wrote it
on
himself.
smoothing out a few
You're right, that's the insinuation
lingering
there.
complications elsewhere in the Mojave. First up are the boomers of Nellis Air Force Base. A tribe so reclusive, it lobs artillery shells at anyone who comes near their settlement. I want you to offer them an alliance with my Legion. My terms are simple. Target their guns against the NCR side of the dam when I assault it, and they can keep their freedom. If you find they aren't amenable to this offer, destroy them.
I have questions.
Even with the boomers to deal with, you have questions?
How did you capture Benny?
I'll hand it to that piece of shit. He was determined. He used some kind of old-world stealth device to get across the river in a Legion boat. Seems the device ran out of juice once he got here, but he was dressed like a legionary. He was caught just outside the weather station. See, thing is, he didn't change his hairstyle. To go to all that effort and fail because you're too vain to mush your hair.
What happened to Benny?
He was brought before me along with the platinum chip. That's how I knew he wasn't some kind of profligate infiltrator. Benny tried to sell me a story, but Lucius has a way of coaxing the truth out of captives. Everything just comes spilling out.
Okay, let's talk about something else.
What else did...
So, before we continue, Kaiser says, how many Latin American countries have you visited, Krogan?
3 or 4.
Froggy says, find Monster Energy and you'll easily get their support. You mean the boomers? Let's hear what he has to say about Mr. House.
I know he's dead. I know he's no longer a factor. That's all I need to know.
Oh,
Losers don't matter in the history books. He's a fucking footnote.
all right. NCR?
Do you want my opinion as a former citizen or future conqueror? Actually, my opinion's the same either way. As a young man, I was taught to venerate President Tandy of Shady Sands, the founding mother of the new California Republic. Did you know her presidency lasted 52 years? And that her father, Aradesh, was the Republic's first president? Does that sound like a democracy to you? Or a hereditary dictatorship?
So it's interesting, if the developers are pushing NCR good and Legion bad, it's interesting to note that President Tandy, this most venerated president, is a woman, mother of the New California Republic.
Yeah.
Because the council didn't dare oppose her. She was too popular. She had the people's love. So things ran smoothly, more or less. And as soon as she was gone, as soon as there really could be democracy, what happened then? Ever since losing its queen, the NCR has been weaker, more diffuse. Democracy has been its weakness, not its strength.
How is the NCR weak?
Greed runs rampant. The government is corrupt, accepting bribes from Brahmin barons and landowners to the detriment of citizens. The NCR is a loose conglomerate of individuals looking out for themselves. It's lost virtue. No one cares about the collective, the greater good. It's not built to last. I'm just hastening the inevitable.
The NCR... Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and that's all supposed to like have this tint or connotation of evilness, and it's like, I think everything you just said was pretty reasonable.
Yeah, I mean, it's supposed to make him look like a bad guy because it's almost supposed to make him look petty. Like, here they are building... NCR is more or less a functional society, right? People are working jobs, raising families, ta-da. I mean, surely it's good enough, right? That being said, he's making a point that this type of thinking, as it becomes more and more pervasive and people are less connected to their communities and more self-interested, more atomized individualist, because now that they lost their queen and they're losing a grand narrative for their civilization and people to build into something bigger than themselves, there can be consequences of that will ultimately destroy the NCR, whether he goes in there or not. That's what his point was. It's a type of rot.
These people who really praise like atomized individualism and just individualism across the board, and people who really hate racial collectivization, they just kind of strike me as some kind of caricature from like Spinal Tap, or wherein like they're the guy saying like, we have these amps made to go up to 11, and it's just for that extra bit. It's just like they just feel like individualism is this like the only ingredient for a high achieving civilization, and like all you got to do is just crank it up past 10 to 11 and 12 and 13, and just like, and then just everything magically works.
Yeah.
I don't know. We can continue.
Of course. The most powerful my legion has faced. Also the first to which I am ideologically opposed. Until now, every tribe I've conquered has been so backwards and stunted, enslavement has been a gift bestowed upon them. My conquest of the Mojave will be a glorious triumph, marking the transition of the Legion from a basically nomadic tribe to a genuine empire. Just as my namesake campaigned in Gaul before he crossed the Rubicon, so have I campaigned and will cross the Colorado.
And again, we're like comparing the historical Julius Caesar to him, and it's like, at the end of the day, Julius Caesar didn't seek to reshape non-Roman societies fundamentally, right? Sort of just weird. Tell me about the Boomers.
The Boomers settled at the old air base northeast of Vegas many years ago. No one knows exactly how long it's been. It may be that no one's traded with them or even spoken to them that entire time. If so, they're sitting on one hell of a stockpile of ammunition.
Don't you know anything about their society?
My scouts have seen people moving around the base. The perimeter's guarded, with spotters in towers directing the artillery fire. They must have extraordinary vision. Some of my scouts were targeted at extreme distances. So no, I can't tell you what to expect inside the base. No one's been inside it, except them.
Let's talk about something else. And we'll ask the last question here. What role will regional powers play in the conflict?
I've analyzed the region's tribe to determine how they might be useful. I may tell you more at a later time, if it suits me.
And I think this like things like that. I think that's just supposed to make the player not like this guy. Like he's not very nice to you.
Right, and the insinuation there is just like he just sees all these different tribes and all these different ethnic groups as like pawns on his board, and you know, they all serve. They're useful insofar he cares about them insofar that they can serve a useful purpose, and beyond that, they're just trash.
Yeah, well, and it's like, you know, these guys say certain things, like they'll say, well, degeneracy, and they're also mean to you. You know, they'll say that. They'll make a political point and then they'll also be mean. That to me is like very obvious.
What else then?
I will handle the boomers.
Good. Your first challenge will be to reach their settlement without getting blown up. After that, should be easy.
Oh, they've accepted me for my helpful nature. Hey, you.
Awe, true to Kaiser.
Yeah.
It is a great honor for anyone outside the Legion to get an audience with Kaiser.
Are you the second in command?
No. Legate Lanius is Kaiser's second. The Legate replaced the Burned Man after the Legion's defeat at the dam several years ago.
Okay. Tell me about the Burned Man.
The Burned Man was Kaiser's advisor and general when the Legion was originally formed. The Burned Man led us to a disastrous defeat at the dam. On Kaiser's orders, the Burned Man was covered in pitch by the Praetorian Guard, lit on fire, and cast into the Grand Canyon. Kaiser has forbidden us from ever speaking his true name again. And so we simply refer to him as the Burned Man.
Ooh.
Okay,
Keep in mind.
I'll be right back. I apologize. I'll be right back.
Okay. Keep in mind, and if you were a legate is someone who commanded Roman legions in the Roman military, and you had failed as a commander, they probably wouldn't burn you to death. They would just not give you any more commands. Yeah. I have some general questions.
I'll answer if I can.
Let's see what he says. Yeah, let's see. Oh, yeah, okay. How did you end up joining the Legion? We'll see if he says anything about what he thinks of the Legion's motivations and political ideas and whatnot.
When I was a boy, the Legion conquered my tribe. I was chosen for training as a legionary. I fought in many battles for the Legion. Eventually, Kaiser chose me to lead his Praetorian Guard. It was a great honor.
Yeah, and this is again where it's like, Legionnaires weren't picked as boys, really. I mean, this seems to be one of these Spartan ideas, right? The Spartans, of course, were very harsh on their children and really raised them as warriors straight off the bat. That's what they seem to be channeling here rather than Romans. All right, what happened to the rest of your tribe?
Girls and women were enslaved, and many of the men and boys were also chosen to become legionaries. The rest were killed.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a thing. Like, Julius Caesar didn't do that kind of stuff. Don't you hate the Legion for what it did to your tribe? Here's some ideological stuff.
We were savages. The Legion raised us up, made us better than what we were.
Okay. And I think this is just supposed to, like this doesn't make a lot of sense. It's kind of incoherent. I think it's supposed to put the player off.
What did you want to talk about?
Make them think that the Legion's bad. You don't carry a gun.
It's a tradition in the Praetorians to specialize in unarmed combat, because weapons can break or jam when needed most. However, our unarmed techniques favor offense over defense. We can charge the enemy and flatten him with our first strike before he can react.
Ooh. Okay. I think he's done. I think we're done with this guy. Archiver says,
such a shitty place to put a throne. Just go back and look at that real quick. I mean, this is totally irrelevant to everything else, but it's like he puts it right in the doorway.
Yeah.
This is kind of weird.
Archiver says, Caesar is a little unhinged, though. He swears like a pirate, has no patience for BS. Archiver says, didn't Caesar genocide, or at least try to, the Franks? You mean Julius Caesar? Not that I know of. I mean, we could, if you have, just bring up the Wikipedia article for whatever you're looking at, and we can look at that together. I think we can fast travel from here, right?
No. You're gonna have to go...
Just outside of this door, then.
No, you can... Oh, no. I'm sorry. I misunderstood you. I think you can fast travel from in here, yeah.
I just tried.
What?
Who the hell are you?
I can't talk to you. It's not allowed.
I mean, he didn't genocide the Gauls. He conquered the Gauls. He promised he got Gaulish aristocrats to back him up as they took over the land. He promised them Roman citizenship. To a large degree, when Julius Caesar and the Romans of the time conquered people, they didn't try and replace your whole society. They weren't there to civilize you. They were there to put someone at the top of your current power structure without changing your way of life, so that they could now pull tribute from you. I mean, it would be really hard to pull tax money from these provinces if you genocided the people who would pay the taxes, which is how the Roman Roman Empire towards the end of the Roman Republic worked, right?
Yeah, well, real quick, and the other point here to reinforce is that they handed out Roman citizenship as a kind of a currency to get these elite people from these other societies to operate more smoothly within their tribute collection system. You know, a lot of people look at the fact that they gave citizenship out to various prominent families from other outside ethnic groups, and they say, see, they didn't care about race or ethnicity, and it's just like, oh my god.
Yeah, they certainly did. It's just that, I mean, you want, like, Roman Gaul.
If the Romans had 24-hour television media, you probably would have heard people from other, like, non-Romans with Roman citizenship saying things like, you know, I'm just a citizen in name, and I don't have the same. You would probably have had not an equivalent, like an exact one-to-one equivalent of a modern day SJW, but you might get something like it. I think people would be surprised how much complaining you would get from non-Romans who had Roman. Anyway, I've made the point. We can go on. I'm more curious about what's going to happen with this Melody girl, because I don't recall encountering her before.
I guess that's okay. If you're a friend, can you help me?
What do you need help with?
Antony took Sergeant Teddy away and gave him to the stinky dogs. I want him back.
Why did Antony take him away?
Antony said he was punishing me for trying to hide it from the Legion.
Yeah, and again, I don't think, like, Julius Caesar and the Roman legions were not exactly interested in taking little girls' teddy bears away as, like, punishment for hiding their teddy bears. This is just meant to make the Legion look particularly mean. I'll see what I can do.
Thanks.
What do you do here?
And again, they were Caesar or Caesar was just talking about how the female president of the New California Republic was beloved by all the people, and they were trying to push this whole female equality thing. But yeah, here, right outside the tent, they're giving you a little girl because they know deep down men and just people in general have this specially placed sympathy for women, and especially little girls. So it's just like they're really trying to have it both ways.
Yeah. So what do you do here?
I help take care of the Brahmin. I sometimes bring water and food to people. That's it.
So, I'll go
Bye.
Whoa. Leveled up.
Yeah, that's what happens when you level up in mid-conversation. It jumps you into the leveling menu at the end.
Okay, so where are the dogs?
True to Caesar.
I don't recall. I want to say they're near the front, but yeah.
This dog has a name. Lupa. Anthony.
Female wolf.
Oh, you're the guy. He's the teddy bear thief. All right, you.
Outsiders are a rare sight at the fort. Step carefully around here and you might just leave alive.
I have a weird and menacing voice. I am bad.
Lupa. Yes, she's the mother of a lot of our best dogs. She's getting old, but she's still a tough old bitch. Aren't you, girl? Yeah.
All right.
I don't remember this.
I have
at all.
questions.
Yeah?
Where does the Legions get its dogs?
We breed them mostly, but sometimes we get some good ones from Denver. That whole city is overrun with them.
Oh. You train them?
Been doing it since I was a boy. The mongrels know to listen up when I start talking to them.
Oh. Let me see here. How did you end up joining the Legion?
When the Legion showed up, we fought. Most tribes did. Hangdogs hung out longer than most. Broke us by throwing our dogs on the fire. So we gave up. Our elders couldn't bear the idea of our spirit animals burning in the afterlife. Kaisar was impressed enough to conscript us. Use our skills with dogs to join the Legion as hound masters.
Okay. This is, once again, it's like... Seems like, well, we gotta make the Legion look really bad. People like dogs. They burn their dogs alive and stuff. Alright. Let me...
Yeah, and it was... Oh, I wanted
What?
to find out what happened with her bear.
This stupid
we gotta
girl
do
should
that.
know by now that even the rags on her back are a privilege. Anyway, my mongrels like their new toy. Tell you what, you square off with 4 of my best dogs. No armor and no weapons except a machete. You survive, and I let you have the bear.
That's pretty stupid.
Just give me the bear. Wait, you won't mind if I kill your dogs?
I think they'll probably end up killing you. I trained them myself. But if you do win somehow, the mongrels will at least get honorable deaths.
Oh, I can't even do the thing
Fine
anymore.
for teddy bears? That's their honorable death? Okay.
I'm here for the bear. I've done a lot for the Legion. Just give me the bear, you bastard.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Here.
Alright. I got Sergeant Teddy back. Go find the girl.
Do you remember where she... I mean, have you played through this recently?
I have not seen Melody before.
There she...
Howdy, mister.
Howdy.
Hi.
He's chewed up.
That's okay. I'll fix him. Can I have him now?
Tear Sergeant Teddy in half.
Oh, man.
This is, I think this is like the developer saying, like, this is what a real Legionnaire would do, you know? Just be mean to little girls for no particular reason.
Well, if you see in a lot of games, please don't do it. I just think that's just really dumb. But, yeah, like a lot of these games, a lot of people want the quote-unquote good playthrough and the evil playthrough. And when they have their evil playthrough, they want all these, like, really, like, overt evil things to be able to do. And I could just see them, like... Part of what's going on here isn't always, like, we can put this in here to make the Legion look bad, or we can make this other people look bad. It's just, like, this... People over the years have overtly demanded good and bad paradigms for a playthrough, and so some of this is just the tacking on of just really retarded evil things for, you know, I guess little edgelords to...
Yeah, but if you give, if like there's multiple factions and you give one faction the evil playthrough, ultimately everything that you add in there like this piles up, right?
Right. Oh yeah, I'm not saying otherwise. Anyway,
Thank you.
You're gonna give you karma?
Bye.
Yeah, I figured they'd give you karma. You'd probably lose karma if you tore up the bear.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people don't realize how a karma system is like really biased.
Oh yeah.
And how you can, over time condition gamers to basically take on certain beliefs because, as long as you don't stray too far from what is intrinsically good and bad for them, you can kind of slowly get people to change their mind about things over time, like by just sort of funneling them. Like if you make it a game, then, you will, to get more points, you have to behave a certain way, and then over time you'll associate that behavioral paradigm with what's quote unquote good, and then when you encounter that stuff in real life, you'll be that much more predisposed to behaving that way, or yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you read books and played video games and watched movies that all suggested that a certain way of acting was good, I mean, it's likely to influence a generation of people.
The usual response you get to that is, "Oh, violence in video games is okay. Nobody goes out and kills everybody in real life and blah blah blah." And it's like, yeah, well, we don't have any real life entities, organizations, advocating for real life violence. We don't have, some social justice advocacy group saying it is okay, and in fact, you should kill people. To achieve whatever it is your personal little goal is. So it's just like...
Well, I'd
really
say that...
is when they do that. When they say that... Go ahead.
When it comes to presenting morality in media, anything like significantly sort of outside of the Overton window, anything significantly outside of the norms that are like generally accepted, are going to be given a pass as sort of a, well, it's really like people aren't taking that part seriously. Because, the only reason they're entertaining such extreme things is because, they know it's a fake story. But, like, when you get into the things that are more applicable to our day-to-day lives, that's sort of not taken through this filter of, oh, that stuff never happens or it's completely irrelevant, right?
Sure, that happens, but then what people don't realize is even if you get exposed to something that you recognize right away as being outside of the Overton
you'll get
window,
blown up like the rest of
if you're
the idiots
exposed to
who
it
thought
once,
they'd scavenge.
it's going to pass through that filter. If you're exposed to it twice, it's going to be less likely that it'll pass through that filter.
Simmer down.
Once you're exposed to that X number of times, it contributes to the normalization. In other words, it pushes that to just inside the Overton window because you've been exposed to that enough times in such a context and in such a way that, it's just, that's how, I mean, back in the day, you could not make a movie about miscegenation. You could not make a movie about certain topics, and over time, we didn't get to 2021 or 2020 just overnight, and people just really don't realize how you can make little tiny pushes and end up over a fairly long period of time make these you're just trying to eat bombs.
I'm just gonna rush the gate. Oh my goodness, this road is a little bit more.
There you go, you're safe now.
Bonk. Whoops.
Hold it right there. Don't you move. How the hell did you survive that bombardment?
I'm very fast. Who's in charge here?
I'm not telling you a thing, savage. Move a muscle now and I'll blow you to pieces.
I didn't come here to attack you.
Then just stay where you are. Raquel will be here any second.
I'll take this from here.
Oh
I'm
my
Raquel,
God.
Master-at-Arms for the Nellis homeland. Mother Pearl, our eldest, wishes to speak to you.
Right. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, the Gamebryo dialogue system is such that there's not much you can do about these bugs.
Yeah.
They're not really bugs, just kind of built in.
But here we are at another place where the women are in charge.
Mm-hmm.
Follow close and mind your behavior.
Roy, thanks for the lemons
Welcome,
and ice cream.
child. Took your sweet time getting here, didn't you?
Yes.
I've been waiting a good 5 years for an outsider to come along and visit.
Well, you don't make it easy.
Well, I mean, just to interject here again, more than likely, if all these women were in charge, not that I don't think some women can be very harsh, but it seems more likely that if all these women were in charge, they wouldn't be as recluse, and they would probably be a little bit more bleeding heart.
Yeah.
And let people come in all the time.
Men patrol the border. You can see it. You can go to monkey colonies, and you'll see the males patrolling the border. You can go to barbecues. Go to a barbecue. Big family barbecue. And you'll have men on the outside, and all the women congregating in the center. Because men patrol the border.
That's sexist.
Yeah, well, I didn't say it was good. Maybe it's bad. Ah, see? Not sexist. You didn't roll out the red carpet, lady.
Those howitzers of ours aren't just for entertainment, child. Explosive ordnance is what keeps the savages at a distance. Except you. There's something special about you, child, and it was the howitzers that gave you a chance to show it.
Ooh.
There's something special about you, child, and a lot of these sequences in Fallout games and games in general, they kind of break the fourth wall, and they kind of talk to you because they know, demographically speaking, it's mostly adolescent boys playing the game, and it's just like, wouldn't your character be like a full-grown adult, and wouldn't you think that calling him a child would be just kind of weird?
Well, she's an elder, right? We were introduced to her as she's the elder of the tribe. I'm sure she calls everyone child, right? That's the deal.
Yeah.
How may I be of assistance?
Oh, so many ways. Small ones to begin with, so we can get used to what it's like to have a outsider around and about. Should that go well, maybe you can help in big ways, too. We'll have to see.
How can we trust each other if you're going to keep secrets?
You have to keep in mind that you're our first contact with the outside world since I was barely a woman. Seclusion has kept us safe, but the world around us is changing. Neon lights in the distance, patrolling robots, soldiers. My youngers think our guns can keep out the world, but I think we need to let it in just a little.
And here we go.
You're that little bit of the world, child. Welcome to Nellis.
This is why you don't put an old woman in charge.
You picked a good time to stop by, for we're swimming in problems. My youngers can tell you all about it. Raquel could use help with the bug problem. Doc Argyle has wounded he's tending to. And Loyal and Jack might be looking for help with some repairs. Or you could just go see Pete at the museum and hear the story of our people. All you have to do there is listen. Come and go as you like, help or don't help, I leave it up to you. But I hope you'll show my youngers that not every outsider needs to be blown up.
Evening.
Jesus. She has no idea who you are, and she just lets you come in and run free range and have access to all the stuff. It's just incredible. Incredible. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure maybe you have something prepared you want to say about this, so I'll let you have at it if you do.
Nothing super prepared. It's just that these people have created a functional society, right? They create power here. They generate power. They farm here. They build families here. I mean, compare this to what we saw in Freeside. I mean, these people will fight for each other. These people will build together. I mean, these people have really created something good. And here she is talking about the chaos of the outside, which is true, but she also says that we need to let it in. Why? It doesn't make much sense.
It
And
doesn't
I
make
think
any-
a lot of gamers really saw
Don't think
that.
about
A lot of people liked the boomers and wanted the boomers to keep their little mini paradise in this savage place where people are addicted to gambling, addicted to drugs, killing each other for a few caps.
Did you come across forums that express that? I don't recall people really being. I don't recall people really being all that cognizant of this, of what we're talking about. I think
what I saw, they liked it. And it's the same sort of deal. Like, most gamers went for an independent New Vegas and liked the boomers. They understood that, like, rather than being yoked under someone else's scheme, whether the Legion or the NCR, they liked the idea of creating something that stands on its own. Here's Pete. He runs the museum, which is this. So here we're going to hear about the boomers.
You're the outsider. Mother Pearl sent word that you'd be stopping by. You must be eager to hear the story of our people.
Well, who are you, Pete?
Me? I'm Pete, keeper of the story. I know I seem kind of young. I was the apprentice keeper of the story until a couple months ago. But old Keeper Don, well, whiskey and landmines don't go together. So it's up to me. I bet you want to know everything about us.
That's a bummer. Tell me about your people, Pete.
Wonderful. I'm sure you've noticed the mural on the wall of this hut. Shall I tell you what it all means?
Sure.
Excellent. Imagine you're the first outsider to ever hear our tale. Ages ago, long before I was born, we lived underground. Everyone had guns, but the Overseer wouldn't let us explode anything, not even a hand grenade.
This is kind of quiet. Speak up, Pete. Whoops. Jesus. These settings are great. Maybe that?
Might as well turn that all the way up, to be honest.
Okay, 1 second. Under voice, right?
They were savages with knives. We blew them up with frag mines and grenades, burned them with flamethrowers. It was neat, but there was a downside. For every 43.6 savages we killed, we lost one of our own.
Oh
we
my
needed
goodness.
a new home. We needed Nellis. Here we have prospered and multiplied. Here our mighty guns destroy any savages who might try to harm us before they can even reach our gates.
Good.
Well, until...
Until me.
But not saying you want to harm us or you're a savage, but anyways. Nellis has revealed
Oh,
many
we got a
secrets.
paradox.
It has taught us how to fly the bombers once based here, and it has taught us where to find one. And that is our story so far. For this last image is our future. To restore the bomber, to fly the open skies in armored safety, raining high explosive ordnance upon ignorant savages. This is our destiny. I'm pleased that you listened to the entire story. Perhaps there are details you'd like to know more about. Let me know.
Alright, let's change back to the original voice. It didn't sound like that did anything at all. But, back.
Now that you know the story of our people, you must have all sorts of questions.
Alright.
I just find it really interesting that immediately there they try to insert, like, you see a lot of civnats and a lot of woketivists and a lot of people who are anti-nationalism basically do this. It's like, oh my god, you know, yeah, you got to defend yourselves, but what about the nice people? You're going to hurt some nice people. And it's just like, you know, like, you're a nice outsider that came in. I mean, just think about it. You might have killed all those people you killed. A whole lot of them could have been nice people. Like, you get where I'm coming from? It's just like they really try to capitalize on your empathy overriding your logic. So it's just like, you know, if you're in a bunker and there's 100 people outside, and you do have the ability to take some of them in, but let's just say you know for a fact that one of them is infected with a deadly virus that will kill. If it gets out and if it infects enough people, it's going to kill everybody inside of your bunker. And it's like, well, then you don't let anybody in. You just don't. Like whether or not the other 99 people are just wonderful, brilliant people, the fact is you have no idea which one is going to be harmful and which one isn't, and you don't risk your entire bunker because your emotions get the better of you and you can't deal with the fact that you're going to quote unquote let 100 people die. And I feel like that little boomer timeline there kind of capitalized on that, tried to like insert itself and say, like, oh, we're just, we're the savages blowing everybody up, and we're the savages because we don't let people in indiscriminately. Some of those people that we don't let in are good people, and so in actuality we are the savages. And I don't know if that was done on purpose, or I don't know if like just over the past several decades people have just gotten this really like warped sense of I don't know. If you got any commentary, feel free to interject.
Well, you have this group, the boomers, who survived and thrived as much as they had because they put a wall. They put a border between themselves and other people, They're not aggressive. They don't go out with the goal of hurting other people. They've just protected themselves and built something nice. And now they're sort of calling into question this wisdom that allowed them to get this far. Like, well, we kept everyone out and we built this nice thing, and, well, maybe we shouldn't have kept everyone out. It's like, why?
Yeah, I just have to wonder, like, Fairb Soul says, on purpose, of course, in response to my saying, I don't know whether or not it was on purpose. But the thing is, some of the elements in this game, I think, are definitely they're conscious and purposeful. Like, they were intentionally put in. But I think, generally speaking, our society has been subverted in a lot of ways, but also we've gone through some natural civilizational entropy wherein, strong men have created good times for us, and the good times have made us weak to a certain extent. And I think that regardless of any foreign elements trying to subvert us, I think there would just be this natural tendency to some extent for us to just say, well, we have all these nice things, maybe if we let these other people come in and have nice things too, like it'll all work out. Maybe we're just being unreasonable. Like, and it's because to a certain extent, I mean, this isn't reflecting upon the boomers, because the boomers as characters are constantly bombarded with the horrors of the outside, at the borders. They see it all the time. But we, saying we, I mean the developers are looking at it from several generations after a world war, several generations after. These guys are several generations removed from any kind of serious hardship. And so there's this tendency when that occurs for our guys to start thinking, well, maybe we don't need to be as defensive. Maybe we can let our guard down a little bit. And then as soon as you do that, look what happens.
Now that you know the story of our people, you must have all sorts of questions.
I have some questions about your people's history.
Ask away.
Why did your ancestors leave the safety of the vault?
So you know about the vaults? Yes, we lived in one of those. Ours was numbered 34. In our vault, everyone had guns, but the Overseer wouldn't let you fire off any of the really fun ones. I guess all the little pops and bangs at the firing ranges just got boring after a while.
That's such, like, I feel like that really plays into, like, that to me is a not so thinly veiled anti-Second Amendment trope there. It's just like, Americans are just these gun-toting morons, and like they just want to shoot stuff off and make things go bang, and just, I don't know. That's the impression I get from that.
Seems, I don't know, you're able to respond with your people were willing to risk it all for freedom. Sounds more pro-Second Amendment.
And at Nellis, we found it. We haven't detonated any atomic warheads since before I was born. But otherwise, it's do as you will. Anything else you want to know?
Nellis was empty when your people found it?
Several automatic warheads detonate here 100 years ago, leaving the base highly radioactive. The savages of the Waste, ignoramuses, all avoided Nellis by habit.
Whereas your people had brought Geiger counters from the vault.
That's exactly right. You're very knowledgeable for a Sav, an outsider. Anything else you want to know?
And it's interesting. So the term savage, of course, is just really juxtaposition to civilization, right? Savage more or less means nomad or hunter-gatherer, someone who has an established long-term.
Well, to tell you etymologically where it comes from, it's derived from a word that basically is related to forest.
Yeah.
So and eventually it meant like wild, and because if you're out in the forest, then you're quote unquote wild. So there's been like this semantic drift over time, but yeah, I mean originally.
Yeah, it just means not civilized. Like these people farm, these people have an established place. Savages are people without that, and I think this idea that they would inherently call outsiders savages is to sort of put on them, this sort of bad term, or like, see, they just need to open up their mind. Not the entire outside world is savages kind of deal. You know what I mean? Like, this is...
But again, I hate that framing because that's sort of beside the point. And that's kind of the dichotomy, like a lot of ethnic nationalists we have to face with civic nationalists. Everybody will always say, what about my one non-white friend? What if, not all non-whites are this the way or that way. And it's like, that's totally beside the point. It's totally beside. There are some white people I don't like, and you wouldn't want to live around either and whatnot. It's like, that's totally beside the point. Anyway.
Well, I mean, the idea is like, if the reason they had their borders is contingent on outsiders being savages, well, then maybe the border really should come down because not all outsiders are savages. It's like this weird... That's
why I brought up the bunker scenario, wherein that 1 out of 100 people outside your bunker trying to get in are infected with something. And it's just like, you can literally... because it's such an extreme scenario, but I think the point still holds. It's just like, you can know that 99 of those people are totally awesome and fine. Maybe they're even better than you. But the fact is, one of them will kill all of you.
Yeah.
So the answer in that situation is to not let anyone in.
So how could you survive totally cut off from the world?
Nellis is a completely self-sufficient community. We draw water from Lake Mead, solar arrays provide power, and we grow our own crops.
See how he responds to that?
What, ingenuity?
Yeah.
Thank you. Our self-sufficiency is a point of pride. Anything else you want to know?
Yeah, I was gonna say that it's like, well, if their model doesn't have, it's just like, why does everybody need to come in? Why can't outsiders be taught to do what it is that the boomers have done?
Yeah.
And obviously the point here, though, the problem here is that there is a certain amount of technology that the Fort Nellis has that outsiders aren't going to have. But surely a lot of their ways can be implemented using other technologies to a lesser extent, whatever. It's just so... I don't know, there's that whole thing that would take too much time to explore, though, I think. So I guess move on.
Smirling says, 8 Savs, love me explosions, simple as. There you go.
Yeah, that's the kind of the vibe I was getting from, all these are gun-toting Second Amendment Americans, and they just want to shoot things off and blow up people at the border. Like all them Mexicans coming over the border, well, those boomers just blow them up to defend themselves. Am I right? That really is the vibe I'm getting.
How about the howitzers?
You're right. They weren't here when we discovered Nellis. We found the guns at a huge weapon depot called Area 2, many miles from here. It took many weeks to drag the guns and their ammunition back to Nellis, and it was the last time any of us set foot beyond our homeland.
Oh, but you weren't there first, so it can't be your homeland, boomers. Ah, therefore everybody has to come in now because you weren't the first inhabitants of Nellis Air Force Base. Fucking checkmate. Hand over the keys. Open the doors. Sorry.
It's a monument to the grit and resolve of your people.
Thank you so much. I'll be sure to pass that on. Anything else you want to know?
You know, we can really... This is why I thought... This is part of the reason why I think a lot of gamers came away with a positive impression. I mean, you really are encouraged, if you have the requisite sort of skill and science or whatever, to really praise them as a people. Because they really are self-sufficient. I mean, the success that they have can uniquely be attributed to themselves. Right?
Yeah, they don't ever really push the idea that they're only successful because they have all this tech that they found. I don't recall them ever doing that, so that's something I do have to consider.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, this tech was available for everybody, and they're just the ones who went out and got it.
Once we restore power, we learn that some elaborate chairs we've been sleeping in were actually virtual reality simulators. We believe they were used to train combat pilots. We use them extensively. I alone have shot down over 500 Chinese Zion 85 fighters. Before you ask, I'm afraid there's no way you can be allowed to use the simulators. They're for our use only. Sorry.
Oh, to slip the surly bonds of earth and dance amid the soaring birds.
That's beautiful. Yes, it's exactly like that. So free, so... words can't do it justice. Anything else you want to know?
Yeah, I don't think they I was gonna say they don't let you use the simulators, not because of any like reason. It's just a gameplay limitation. Like they didn't really want to develop all of that, so they're just like, we'll just say you can't use it.
You don't want to put a simulation game within your first-person shooter RPG deal?
Oh, they do that. They do that within this series. So
yeah, within the series, they just Okay, Old Bomber.
Loyal found a file somewhere on the base, with magazine articles, photographs, a map even. It seems that a bomber, apparently the 29th of its kind, crashed in Lake Mead on July 21st, 1948. Just imagine, that's over 300 years ago. The photograph shows that it was basically intact, and the map tells us exactly where to find it. Except we haven't left Nellis in decades.
I look forward to seeing the Old Bomber fly.
It'll be spectacular, won't it? You should talk to Loyal. I bet you could help. I wish everyone were just as interested in our story as you are. Maybe I should act out the battles, or learn how to throw my voice.
Yeah, something I think we should probably reiterate here is that, like, it's not like any of the things... Okay, so the whole, like, anti-Second Amendment type, you know, oh, we're boomers, just like to blow everything up. Like, I don't think the fact that that's in here is necessarily exclusive. It doesn't exclude the idea that the game is sort of pro-boomer in a way. Like, those aren't mutually exclusive. Like, there are various biases in any given storyline that can come out. Like, there are multiple people writing. Not everybody has a completely coherent internal logic. You know, like, so I think there can be overlap in terms of messaging.
Yeah.
Gosh, there's a lot of folks.
Okay. I've been accepted. Well, that's nice. Nume, how's it going? Good to see you.
Hello, Nume.
But it's very interesting. They're a unique people with their own story, for real.
Yeah.
Hey.
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 How is your visit with us?
What do you people have to say about me?
I may have heard a compliment or two. Nothing special.
Oh, okay. Well, I gotta go help someone then. Move it, Boomer. Nume says, you're at the Boomers, I see. Yes, I am. Boomer.
Do you know who you're gonna go help first?
Yeah, I'm gonna go inside the building, talk to Loyal. although he might be to the left. What the hell just happened? My rebar club.
Yeah, you dropped it.
Damn it. Butterfingers. It's night. Will he care if I go into his house?
I don't know, but are you trying to find him? Because he's... Oh, yeah.
He's either in
you
that
can't
building
talk-
or in his house over here.
I don't think you can... Oh.
Oh, he's not in his house right now. What if I wait?
You can wait.
It's midnight. What the heck? Yeah. Hello.
I don't know if you can talk to him in here. I feel
hope
like you
Pearl
have
knows
to do
what
it
she's
inside
doing,
base.
letting you wander around Nellis as you please.
Or the hangar.
I'm looking to make myself useful.
If that's so, how about you look into repairing the solar arrays on the roof of the generator building? Nothing too... You can't...
Yeah.
You don't need anything blown up?
If we need something obliterated, Raquel and the howitzer crews are more than qualified. No, we have more specialized issues we need...
Okay.
Ha! If we had...
You have high enough science, you won't need to...
Yeah, exactly. I just wanted to make sure that I got what was needed out of the quest text or whatever. Alright, is that it? Do I go this way?
Look on the map again. I don't feel like it's southeast, but I guess it is. Yeah, I guess it is.
Unless this is the wrong quest. Kill the boomer leader. I feel like it... Yeah, okay, so it's this way.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I was pretty sure it was northeast, because I've done this mission a lot.
So, offensive username on DLive says, "Evening, gents. How's it going?" Nume says, "I suppose you've already talked about what's your impression with the Congress debacle?" Yeah, I mean, we've kind of talked about it. I mean, ultimately, there's nothing happening that... I mean, unless something's happened since we started the stream. I mean, nothing interesting that I wasn't already expecting is happening, you know? Nothing... I mean, I think most of us... Okay, I think a lot of us knew something like this would happen.
I hear a fair amount of people saying things like, oh, there's a revolution occurring and people are storming the Capitol building. And it's like, some people I hear talking have this... I'm not going to act like none of that stuff is not meaningful. It does mean something. But I think a lot of people have this, like, this expectation that it's like, oh, we're just about to win and we're going to get everything we want now because, you know, the guys stormed the Capitol. Like, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but that's kind of like, that's the sentiment I feel like is being conveyed by some people. And, yeah.
Revolutions take years, people.
What?
Oh, I need repair.
Uh-oh.
Force AV. Is that how I do it? There we go.
There you go.
Man, I'm good. Do-do-do. Merlin says, this is only the beginning. Well, I mean, you know, the boulder of history continues to roll down the hill, so to speak. Nume says, the woman got shot and died. Yeah, she did die. The backlash might get serious. Yeah, it depends. You know, the thing about, like, if people take that super seriously and get really hyped up about it, I mean, that could be a martyr. A real martyr. If, that being said, the biggest concern is that, you know, the people who are rioting, who are in DC because they're displeased with the way things are going, there's not much sympathy at all for their views in the news media. And the news media really determines what a lot of people think about what's happening in this country. So, yeah. It's, I mean, really, at the end of the day, I think there's a lot of energized people who are willing to do potentially drastic things. Whether that happens, I think, is contingent on whether those people ever receive any real leadership. Right? They need a leader to guide them if they were to do anything drastic.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if there really is anyone.
Well, drastic's a funny word because it's like, depending on what you mean by it. Like,
Well, you know what I mean by it.
Yeah,
And I'm wearing
right.
Twitch,
Sorry,
so
no time to talk,
it's like...
outsider.
Right.
Hello, outsider.
I repaired the solar arrays and increased their efficiency.
An impressive piece of work. I'll keep that in mind if job...
You haven't even seen it yet. You're just flattering me.
Oh, we're liked now. I wonder if that's good enough for us to do the things.
The others don't take that long, and I'd just go ahead and do them.
Well, let me just check with Pearl. I might be done.
Just don't listen to them. I'm in command here.
Are you?
Maybe you're but
Hello.
well,
Hello.
I say go.
How is your visit with... More and more, I hear my people say...
Okay, I guess I'm not done.
Yeah, I think you do. I think you do have to do all three.
I know you don't have to do everyone that's available. But there's...
That's another one that's on the base. There's another one that's, like, actually on the base. You don't have to go do... No, I think you do have to do all three.
I think there's more than 3.
Well, there's one where you have to go help, what's your name? The ants. Because there's an infestation of
Yeah, and I
ants.
didn't do that last time.
Okay.
Hey.
So that's Raquel. She wants the ants thing, I think.
Yeah.
I don't want to do the ants. That takes long.
Right. No, it doesn't.
Yeah, it does. That's
You
as
just
far
kill
as I
them all.
remember.
I mean, it takes a lot longer to go get the bomber.
No, the bomber's something you have to do regardless. The bomber comes, like, once you've pleased everyone enough, then you get to do the bomber.
Yeah. That's why I'm getting confused here.
You.
I know Mother Pearl is letting you wander Nellis as you
Alright, I'm gonna make myself useful.
I have 3 patients here who were gravely injured fighting the... I've stayed...
I assume the ant's tibular nastus pierced the patient's anterior traxus?
Well, I don't know, actually. I suppose it's possible. You should take a look.
Excellent. Let me just quick save. Oh god. No. Wait, what if I do that again? Ah, bleeds to death again. Oh my god. Well, that's a dramatic death. Well, you know what I'm gonna have to do? What do I need? Medicine?
Yeah.
Okay. Medicine. Oh my gosh, perform the operation.
Excellent treatment. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, well, that's because I'm an expert.
Well, that's because you don't have a console.
Yeah, if you had a console command thing like it. See, now I'm idolized.
I thought that man was
See, it says return to Pearl.
You brought him around.
And I'm only done with 2 of the 3, but I'll do the 3rd here.
You're right. You were right.
That was some fine doctoring.
And this was faster than the ants.
If I haven't said it
was.
before,
Definitively, the ants take
those men owe you their
a
lives.
fair amount of time compared to this.
All right. Pearl?
I wonder if there's a way I can use something like Restream to stream simultaneously to DLive and to Discord.
Restream to Discord? No, that's not a thing.
Yeah, I just feel like there's got to be some way to stream simultaneously and not have to send out 2 legitimate streams.
So let's see what people are saying in chat. Okay, in chat, what are people saying? Schmerling says, it'll be interesting to see what narrative will be used to portray these events and how the narrative will differ on each side of the aisle. Yeah, it'll be very weird and interesting. Let's see. Offensive username says, I really hope Trump will get his Twitter account banned while he is president. If he does, a legal case might roll back censorship for big tech. I kind of doubt it.
Yeah, I don't think any of that. I don't place any kind of hope on any of that. I mean, and again, the only reason I wanted Trump to I mean, at this point, I don't think it matters if Trump, in terms of censorship and all of that. I mean, I'm kind of getting off the horse of you know, if Biden and Harris get in, you know, censorship's going to be worse. I think censorship from this point on is going to be worse no matter what. And I don't know if Trump, like if Trump theoretically won somehow and got to stay in the White House, I don't know how much better censorship would really be at this point.
Verbsoul says, best outcome of this whole thing is to have a new party born out of this. The riots... Oh, yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, I don't know
Nume
either.
says the riots have already been forgotten. I don't think they'll let us forget it, right? The same way they don't let us forget Charlottesville. Charlottesville, if you remember at the time, polling of people, especially the right wing, when you polled people who considered themselves Republicans and right wing, they actually majority supported Charlottesville shortly after Charlottesville. But years of leftist narrative surrounding it has turned it into a bad word, right? So I don't think they're going to let this down at any point in the future.
That is a good point of reference for when you and I talk about how, you know, the messaging in games can change how people think over time. You know, Charlottesville wasn't like decades and decades ago.
Yeah.
And yet that's already, you can already see how messaging has changed the overall public opinion on it.
Yeah.
People really don't realize how, and everybody always just gets hung up on that. Well, you know, the masses are stupid. It's like, okay, fine. I mean, maybe you're right. Maybe the masses are just generally dumb. It doesn't matter. The messaging is still important.
Yeah.
Like,
Offensive username says the Democrat and Republican establishment will both condemn this, but hopefully the movement has enough strength to forge a new party. Yeah, they'll both condemn it. The establishments, yeah. Because the establishments fundamentally both want status quo, right? They don't want any major change because they have things in their favor. Ferb says the narrative will be crazy MAGA people trying to destroy democracy. Offensive username says Trump is a bad leader, though, unfortunately. When I talked about how all these energetic people would need a leader if they wanted to get anything done. And it's, even if he was a good leader, I'm not sure if he has the will to lead them, you know? You see what I'm saying?
yeah, I mean, I agree.
Herbsoul says the narrative will be Trump destroyed America. Probably more of that Q stuff. Yeah, that Q stuff.
And it doesn't matter how inconsistent that narrative is. I mean, like the idea that all these protests are like, you know, undemocratic or whatever. It's just like everybody will point out how, I mean, people should still point out how, like, you know, when Hillary lost, everybody was just like, you know, not my president and all that. You know, not all of that was undemocratic. But that doesn't change the fact that them pushing that message now, it still works. You know, it still has an effect.
Mm-hmm. Offensive username says the FBI planted 2 fake bombs and patted them on the back for finding and disarming them. Yeah, I don't know anything about that. Ferbsoul, Ferbsoul says, I hope none of the boomers go into terrorist mode over this. Then again, a glow-in-the-dark may just do it. Yeah, I mean, possibly. Schmerling says, whatever happens, it's clear what's happening is bigger than Trump and out of his control.
Well, what's interesting,
it's definitely bigger than Trump, yeah.
What's interesing about, like,
I think he could
boomers
control
going,
it, though.
boomers going mental and having, like the one guy in Nashville who, you know, blew up his RV or whatever. You know, a lot of people would make the case that he was mentally ill, and from what I understand, he did believe some crazy conspiracy theories. But what's interesting is how, like, a guy like George Enchenko in Ireland, everybody's like, he was mentally ill and he needed everybody's help, and instead society killed him. And I guess the guy in the RV in Nashville, you can make the case, well, he killed himself. But still, you know, what you're never going to hear from our enemies is like, oh, you know, some of our terrorists or some of our violent guys, some of our guys who end up doing violent things. We're never going to hear the courtesy of, well, maybe they got really frustrated and maybe they were mentally, like, Andrew Joyce was talking about this the other day on not on Twitter, because Andrew Joyce is not on Twitter. I'm gonna make that clear. Anyway, he was talking about how I think the last 4 guys in Europe that were charged for terrorist activities, they all turned out to be on the autistic spectrum, and yet that's never really a defense. Like, no, like they don't get off because of it. They don't get public sympathy because of it. Anyway, I'm kind of rambling here, and I can't put that into a real cogent, coherent statement.
You have
so
done
just
well
ignore me.
to earn the trust of my people, child.
I've done what I can to help out.
I believe the time has come for you to show your value in full. The people have come to accept having you around. Find Loyal and ask him about our people.
Okay. And what's interesting about this, so here we're going to help. It says right there, speak to Loyal about Boomer's plans to raise the bomber from the bottom of Lake Mead. If Caesar's Legion wins the dam and the Boomers have their bomber, like at the end of the whole game, it says something to the effect of the Boomers successfully defended themselves, and like the Legion never bothered them because they showed such strength with the bomber, blah blah blah. Like, it's the good thing. Like, when you help these people out the most, they like retain their border. You know?
Yeah, that is interesting. Like I said, the narratives don't need to be mutually exclusive necessarily.
Yeah. All right, Lady in the Water?
A long time ago, long before the war that killed just about everything that ever lived, a bomber was a flying contraption that could drop explosives down on anything it flew over. This bomber crashed down in Lake Mead, pretty damn near intact. When we got to Nellis, see, I found this article in a magazine all about it. There was another B-29 around here, part of a museum. Couldn't fly, but had a lot of spare parts, see? Get where I'm going? Since I was a young man, I've dreamed of raising that lady from the lake and bringing her back to life. What do you say?
All right, where's it located?
It's at the bottom of Lake Mead. I'll mark its location on your Pip-Boy map. Simple.
Lake Mead's fresh
Attach
water,
deployable
but
ballast to the plane and
still
float
feel
it
like
on
after
up.
300 years,
Here is a remote detonator. Once the ballast is
plane's
attached to the
pretty much
plane,
useless.
just hit the detonator
not-
from the shore and let buoyancy handle the rest.
Yeah, I don't think it would be workable, really. All right.
Good.
Okay, let's go over there. I guess I gotta go over here and take this road.
you could go. Oh,
Where am I? There we go. Is this cow angry at me for showing up?
Yeah, that cow's always angry. I've
Oh.
encountered that Brahmin before.
Calm down. Yeah, that's what I thought. It scared me once I pulled out my big ass club.
This is where that mod that lets you travel anywhere would be useful.
Yeah. Let's see here. Offensive username says pointing out hypocrisy doesn't matter. Yeah, I mean it's one of those things where people will tolerate. Well, and this is I should bring up the tweet. There's been scientific studies on this. When you look at how much people tolerate hypocrisy versus how much they enjoy the grandstanding. So if someone grandstands a position, Nume says that was anti-Semitism, cow. Oh my goodness. You know, it's like if you say rapists are terrible people and they all need to be killed, you know, it's sort of like a big moral position, you know, like really, you know, strongly stated. You win favor. But then they find out, for example, let's say you're a politician, that you've engaged in some sexual indiscretion in the past that might be seen as a little bit non-consensual. You lose points for your hypocrisy, but you gain more points from grandstanding than you lose for hypocrisy.
Though you aren't of the Legion, you've aided us more than once. We
What the-
acquire many items on our raids, some useless to us, some forbidden. I've provided you the location of a drop box where you can obtain these items. Please.
Okay.
Wale.
Thanks for the stuff, I guess. Yeah, I know who you're talking about, Nume. But, yeah, it's like, scientifically, we know that grandstanding but being a hypocrite, net provides you a positive in terms of social capital. So, and also, from an argumentation point of view, when you point out hypocrisy, one of your problems is that, like, if you point out, like, a double standard, people can solve a double standard two ways, right? You can make A like B or make B like A. You know, so for example, I think I talked about in one of my videos, I said something to the effect of, they made a law somewhere where women can go around shirtless, I guess. Is this, do I have the right quest on?
Yeah, you do.
Oh, okay. Women, so the idea is men can walk around shirtless. Women can't. That's a double standard. So they solved it by making it so women could be shirtless in town. You know, naked. You know, what the heck? So that being said, you know, I'm like, first off, I'm not necessarily that concerned with that double standard. Like, I think it might be okay to just let it be that way. But if I did want to solve the double standard, it wouldn't be by telling women to start walking around town shirtless. The way I'd want to solve that double standard is by telling men to put their shirts on, right?
Right.
So you always have that problem. Is this the same one?
Yeah.
Oh, they heal if you let them walk away?
Some of them do.
Well, that's lame. What is he healing on? Do you walk any slower backwards in this game? Doesn't seem like it.
You should just, like, open the console and click on him. Type kill.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, I would be interested. I mean, I would be interested in seeing actual data on this, but you know, I believe that you can do the same thing here because they have a lot of. Oh no, that's a young one, so it doesn't have that much help. I don't think there's a uniform distribution across ethnies and races in terms of caring about hypocrisy. I think there's a predisposition within European folk care about that a little bit more, so that becomes I still would think that grandstanding would be a net benefit even among a European population, but I think that the net benefit probably wouldn't be as large as it would be in a black or other non-white population. There's a lot of them here. You might as well type kill all.
Whoa. Whoa. Oh. Offensive username says you have to have a certain level of IQ to care about hypocrisy at all. I'm not sure how true that is. Nume says, or notice it. Yeah, I mean, there's always a... I mean, people care about hypocrisy much less when it's within the in-group, ultimately. Or whether it's for the stuff they care about. I mean, we're just dealing with different levels of it.
I think I think that's true, but it's true and it's not true. Like, there are levels to it, and I'm not sure I'm prepared to explain how I think about it at the moment, but I think that there's a correlation with IQ, I think.
Yeah, I'm sure there is.
It just doesn't explain everything.
Yeah. Offensive username says, especially when it comes to abstract concepts and complex systems. I mean, yeah, I mean, if you're dealing with a complex system, and if you're dealing with a system that's complex enough where, like, let's say you need 100 IQ just to understand the system, well, you would need to have a similar IQ to understand the hypocrisy within the system.
Right, but that's the problem we run into even within a you know, quote unquote homogenous European population. A lot of white people get hoodwinked by certain arguments because either they don't have the time to connect all the dots to see how they're hypocritical, or they're not quote unquote smart enough.
Isn't it supposed to be on the water now?
Yeah.
Well, whatever.
I guess there's some kind of bug. Yeah, it doesn't matter. You got the.
It worked either way. I always forget which building he's in. I think it's this one. Oh no! This one said mess hall. This is the wrong one, right? Let me look. Is it?
His quest marker isn't on the screen.
Oh. Then it is the wrong one. He's over in this one.
There you go.
And this is the correct door. He's either... Hey. Yeah, oh, hi. I found him.
It's going to be a dream come true once you've raised that bomber from Lake Mead.
Oh, look at that. You can actually see his Pip-Boy had the little person. Your plan worked.
That's tremendous. I'll transmit instructions to the robots to start packing up the plane to bring it back to Nellis. I just told you, the robots are going to handle it. They'll break the plane down into pieces and move it up from Colville Bay in one shot.
Oh, I'm not smart enough. But can I still say it?
We've got that covered. It won't be a problem. Let's
not
just
in a
say they'll be
manner.
a little distracted for a while.
Oh, I think he says the same stuff, even if I had 7 intelligence. Okay, well, I'm glad I helped.
Hey, I better get rolling. Jack and I have a lot of work ahead of us.
You gonna punch him?
No, it's just that my club went away.
I gave over the,
So here's Jack. We could do a quest with Jack, but I don't think it's really worth our time.
No. I think it's a love interest thing.
Yeah, but you can also get her killed. So, offensive username...
By order of...
Oh, God. Yes. Offensive username says, is the goal here just to get through the narrative content? Yeah, I mean, we're getting through really, like, the Legion stuff. You know, there are other side stories that might be interesting, but don't have a significant sort of, like, political implication or societal worldview implication in the same way some of these other quests do. So we're kind of focusing on the stuff that maybe has a more meaningful impact on, like, a worldview. Like the stuff that we see presented here in the Legion camp.
Like that woman slave who's...
Yeah. The limping, overburdened woman who's supposed to represent the horrors of slavery in, like, an exaggerated way to make the Romans look bad. Yeah. European civilization, Romans, slavery. Ooh, bad stuff, man. Bad stuff, I tell you. All right. Oh, I hope I didn't have to talk to Pearl. It's not too long to fast travel around, but...
Have you brought news of the
Oh, God, I'm still working on the boomers, apparently.
Come back when you...
Great, I gotta go talk to Pearl first. Mistakes were made.
You reload where, at the point where you left.
Let me see here. Load. No, it's in the fort. I'm gonna have to fast travel over there. One moment. It's all good. It'll take just a second. 2 shakes of a Legion Explorer. Okay, I can fast travel from here.
Unless you crash.
No. I'm good. Okay. Pearl? Pearl! Oh, God, I think it's quicker this way. Offensive username says, every time I see these 3D Fallout games, I wonder how anyone likes them. They look like such unpolished trash. You have anything to say to that?
She's on the other side of this building. They're little longhouses.
Yeah.
And they're on the side of this hangar.
This way, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like right over there.
Mixed feelings. You know, I don't really like Bethesda, but I do think that I don't know. I think there are other people who probably could have made the Fallout games in a three-dimensional sense much better. But
hello, friend.
I don't know. I have mixed
How
feelings
can
about
Mother
that.
Pearl be of help today?
The B-29 is on the way.
What you have done for us is a miracle, child. You have fulfilled the only dreams we ever had outside our walls. You are a trusted friend of us all. If there is ever a way for us to help you, child, tell me, and I will make it so.
There may be a battle in the near future at the Hoover Dam. Can you offer any assistance?
Of course, my child. After all that you have done for us, we would love to help you in the upcoming battle. After all the training in virtual reality, the young ones would relish an opportunity to put their skills to battle. We'll be there when you need us.
Well, you're not going to have the plane ready by then, right? That would be insane. It's not even here yet. Oh my goodness. More leveling. Sneaking? Yeah, we're sneaky. We're not using sneak much, but man, we're good at it. Yeah, we're gonna have a 44 Magnum dude just show up. Oh, I have to use VATS for him to show up? Oh god, I hardly ever use it.
Yo, just pick one. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, okay, fine. I thought I'd read something interesting. Josie, thanks for the follow. Nume says, did you talk about how many...
By order of...
How many women are in leadership positions in this game? Especially notable in the NCR. Yeah, I think...
Not even definitively not in the Legion.
Yeah, not in the Legion. Yeah, the bad guys have no women in leadership. The gooder guys... Here's Benny. You know, that's where you see all the women in leadership. And that badass female ranger, like the very first ranger you meet is female. Yeah.
Which, I mean, again, it's like that kind of paradigm only works in a well-developed, prosperous civilization because, like, once you get to a point like this in a post-apocalyptic society, it's just like, I feel like there's just such a strong evolutionary force for sexual paradigms to return. I mean, just seeing women in charge in these kinds of scenarios are just like, it's just really absurd.
Yeah. Let's see. Okay, let's see what Caesar says first.
Have you brought news of the boomers?
Just from like a pure survival standpoint, like in a post-apocalyptic society, you just wouldn't want to put your females at risk, whether or not they were qualified, whether or not they were better at doing things than men. All that doesn't matter. The fact is, it takes 9 months for a baby to be born, and during those 9 months, you know, the woman is vulnerable. Like, there are all these like biological evolutionary reasons why you would not want to put women in any kind of role where their reproduction would be compromised. You know, because you would put the root at risk by doing that.
Men patrol the borders. I've won over the boomers. They'll do as I say.
Good. Make sure they help the Legion when the time comes. As for your next assignment, I want you to forge an alliance between Caesar's Legion and the White Glove Society. They used to be cannibals. I expect that information can be used to manipulate them. Go to...
Used to be?
God damn it!
Is this the first time you've experienced sudden onset headaches?
Never this bad before. Fuck this. I'm going to lie down. Come back later. Tomorrow.
Wow. So, Josie says, Embargo, what do you think of the mess today in Capitol Hill? Ultimately, nothing's happened there that I... Oh, NCR. I was wondering who shunned me. I thought it was these guys.
What you didn't pick up on, brah, is that Kaisar is a nut job bad man because he got a tumor in his head. He's got the tumor, and that makes him bad. That's why his brain doesn't work, and he doesn't see why having women in charge is better. He's got a tumor in his head. Sorry.
So, there's nothing happening in Capitol Hill that, I sort of didn't expect, ultimately. I mean, I think for those of us who've been watching the politics, I mean, we knew January 6th was going to be a very big day. A little bit of a powder keg. And this is fairly straightforward with what's happened.
Some of the slaves have been spreading stories about the burned man again.
We talked about it earlier, but yeah, that's all I really have to say about it. I mean, it is interesting. The thing I have to say about what's happening in Washington, D.C. is I'm really interested, not so much, like, what happened there matters, but what's going to matter more is the narrative spun. A lot of Americans get their worldview from the media. The media is going to tell them what they're supposed to think about January 6th. So that'll be a big deal. It'll be a big deal on what the narratives are popular on Twitter, Facebook, and what the media represents. And I think a lot of the social media companies are going to be suppressing sort of average, everyday people talking about January 6th to make sure that certain news media outlets like the New York Times and NBC, they get to provide the official narrative that the rest of us are stuck consuming. So, yeah.
I mean, in the end, that's what everything comes down to. It's just like, the powers that be want absolute control over all narratives. And
Yeah.
Until recently, that was... I mean, again, this is what makes me so mad about guys who are like, it's just a game, brah. And it's just like, this is... Okay, then why are there special interest groups and billionaires and all these people vying for control over all this mediatic output? Why are there these hordes of SJWs and other people battling to get control over the gaming industry? Because then they can control the narrative.
The last time we met, I believe we were talking about the White Glove Society.
I'm concerned your headaches might be a symptom of a more serious condition.
I appreciate your concern, but I'm in excellent health. And we have other matters to discuss. Have you been successful in your efforts to recruit the White Glove Society?
No, you just told me to come back tomorrow. I have some questions.
Even with the White Glove Society to deal with, you have questions?
Yes. Interesting that these are identical. What do you know of the White Glove Society?
There were tales once of a cannibal tribe near Vegas. One that hid itself in a cavern far below ground, hunting men as prey above. The scouts I occasionally sent west many years ago reported these tales, but never had contact. Well, except the ones who went missing, perhaps. There are rumors that the White Gloves might be this lost tribe. Maybe you can help them find themselves.
How could savage cannibals run the Ultralux?
Culture is an odd thing. Sometimes a tribe grows tired of its identity, grabs for an opportunity to reimagine itself. The tribe becomes its own antithesis. Everything flips to the opposite polarity. Dialectics tells us that this can't last. There has to be a synthesis, the final sorting out.
That's enough.
What else?
I'll see what I can work out with the White Gloves.
The leader of the tribe is a woman named Marjorie. My understanding is that she strongly opposes a reversion to cannibalism. If she's intractable, you might find Mortimer, her second-in-command, more flexible.
Okay.
Now, why does he? I don't remember why he wants them to be cannibals. Like, why does he want to change that?
I think he's looking for their cannibalism to be used as leverage against them.
Oh, right. Yeah, but why? Why does he want to use leverage against them? What's he trying to do?
Recruit them.
Yeah, but why them and not one of the other gangs?
Well, this is one of these things where it's like, you'd have to ask the developer that, I suppose.
Right. Right. I mean, yeah, because there's other gangs there. I mean, why the ones that used to be cannibals? I guess because that would be the most easiest. That would be an easy way to exploit them. There's no easy way to exploit the other group. I don't know.
Well, and so how many families are there here? 3?
I think some the Omertas, White Glove Society, and I don't remember what the other one was.
Well, he's got his fingers in the Omertas as well. Nume says, because they're evil, Krogan, that's why.
Had enough?
Had enough?
They're evil. So it's like one evil teaming up with another evil. It's only natural that Legion would team up with people who eat each
where
other.
I'm leaning to is just like, oh my god, not only is the Legion evil, but they're working with cannibals now. I mean, but I don't know if that's the correct angle. Anyway, I was going to say that we're pretty close to 9, and I don't know if you wanted to start the whole White Glove Society at this point.
I was just going to stop once we got to the casino.
Okay, alright. Alrighty.
If it can be bought, it can be found at Mick and Ralph's.
You don't want to get your Pip-Boy at 3 million or whatever?
No.
At Nick and Ralph's? Oh. Want to go visit the Kangs?
No. I could look at their storyline to see if there's anything interesting there that we could talk about, and then we could always add it. But I was planning on skipping them.
If you add anything, what I would suggest is doing the Honest Hearts DLC.
Yeah?
It's not very long, and it talks about the Burned Man, and there's Mormonism and local tribes, and just I don't know. Might be worth doing, but I would actually probably say that once we're done this, we should maybe not play the whole game, but play some of Obsidian's other more their newest game, the Outer Worlds, because that is very, very cool. And it's kind of interesting to see. Well, it's not really interesting, and it's not surprising, but I think maybe people would benefit from seeing just how woke that game is.
Yeah.
It's hard to sleep in this place, I tell you. Last night, some girl was pounding on my door all night. Finally, I had to let her out. What? I take my wife everywhere, but somehow
He's pretty
keeps
funny.
finding her way back. I did it.
Nume says, we can't let God do all the work. I love Joshua. Oh, wait, no, that's Furbsel.
You're going the wrong way.
No, isn't this it?
No. Turn left.
Oh, that's the tops. They're over here. So you have Gamora, the tops, and this. And the Legion has their fingers in Gamora already, as well as the Ultralux. All right. What the?
Or the tops, you mean?
No, I mean Gamora. I think I just pointed the wrong one. We
the
already
Ultralux.
dealt with tops because we killed Benny.
Right.
This is in a state of chaos.
Right.
This one, the Legion has their fingers in already. They have special dealings happening there.
Right. You said the Ultralux, though.
Yeah, that's where we're working.
Right. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, these two. These two are Legion. This one's in disarray. All right. Offensive username says, how do we create an explicitly base game without being overt in the way Height Mat Defender is? Well, I mean, I think there's a place for Height Mat for Defender, but I mean, I think you can use your imagination to imagine what sort of things we could push for, including, let's say you made a post-apocalyptic gang where game, not gang, not post-apocalyptic, I mean cyberpunk. Make a cyberpunk game. Now, instead of having, NPCs as the enemies and, the memes, right? you make it so that, you know, the people you are opposing this sort of like totalitarian world order are like our sorts of guys, right? You have like, instead of, okay, you team up, let's say you team up with a blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy who has a family, and that's part of what you're doing. You've teamed up with this group of people who, instead of going through this state-governed, corporate-governed, approved, you know, test tube baby production strategy, you're having natural families. You know, and that's part of what your resistance is. You're like hiding your women and hiding your children and having natural families with our guys, right? And you're fighting the system, right? Instead of like Cyberpunk 2077, where it's like, well, here's some transgender person who's also going to be a hero with you, and here's their truck with the transgender flag. It's going to be like, here's this one of our guys, just a normal European, waving an old flag of Europe or an old American flag, right? And you're for family values and all the things. Nume says the main character or the side characters fighting with you, being honorable, masculine, family men, fighting for his people, right? Exactly.
I don't think that, you know, people have to necessarily be hyper focused on not making the messaging overt, because it's like, I think people should do a bunch of different things. Like, there should be some games where the messaging isn't quite overt. There should be some games where the messaging is quite overt. But generally speaking, a lot of the messaging in games now that is overtly anti-us. Like, you know, like the first game that came to mind, and it's probably not the best example, is BioShock Infinite. Like, there's this scene at the very beginning where this race mixing couple is rolled out, and like, you know, the town and the group is demonized for having a problem with it, and it's this whole caricaturization of anti-miscegenation, and it's pretty overt. I mean, that game is really bad for a lot of other reasons that I'm not going to get into. And but even if you aren't explicit in your messaging and you just have like the traditionalist family or whatever, like a lot of people will, like a lot of woke journalists and other activist types will complain and say, you had too many white people, you had too many of this. And, you know, they pick up on it. Like they pick up on all of that stuff.
Yeah.
Like they picked up on the fact that Far Cry 5 wasn't overtly anti-white, and that there were like these subtle ways in which it could actually be perceived as kind of pro-white, and like they just weren't going to tolerate any of that. So
Yeah.
I mean, in a lot of ways, there's no way to get around the big giant nose that can smell it all out. But in terms of normies, I mean, I don't know. I think people just got to approach it from a bunch of different angles and not get too hung up on one particular strategy.
If we had some games coming out with our sort of messaging, whether it was more overt or less overt, that would be good. The important thing is to not, like, the journalists are always going to hate it, regardless of how overt or not overt. The only group that is swayable in whether they like it or not is gamers, and they're mostly going to be swayed based off of the quality of the gameplay. Like, if it's really fun, but also really overt, they'll still play and buy it. So we need the right sort of messaging attached to genuinely fun games. That's
right,
my thought.
I would agree with all that. Or I do agree with all of that.
Josie says, are there any women who follow this channel? There are some. I do know some who follow me. I mean, said, when you're talking about this sort of issue, let's face it, it's a lot of guys. Schmerlin says, if you want a game like that, make it take place more than 100 years ago, and then don't put in the subversive predominant culture. He says, I remember that KCD caught flack for having women act like women and not having any brown people.
Right. Let me just give everybody a taste of like the kind of situation we're in. If somebody just wanted to make a purely historical game about the British fighting the Zulus in South Africa, and like you just got to play as the British, people would have a meltdown over it. like, because you would literally be a bunch of British soldiers shooting a bunch of blacks coming at you. Like, they just, the game could have absolutely no messaging whatsoever. It could just be completely historical. And yet, because that's the premise, I mean, people would just have a meltdown. That said, I think somebody should make, and maybe I should try to organize some people to make this, but I think it would be good to have oh, wow. Okay, are we done? Done?
Yeah, so on the stream, it's the picture of the snake eating bread.
Oh, okay.
That's my ending picture now. God, it's adorable.
I didn't realize that you had ended it.
No, I mean, like, we're on the stream. People can hear you.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. Yeah, I got confused there because the Discord shut down. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, I think somebody should make a game wherein, you play as a boar farmer, and you're defending your farm against hordes of people trying to come in and take it. And yeah, I mean, that would not go over well with a lot of people, and that is kind of overt, but it's just like, it would be a game that's easy. It would be relatively easy to make because it's just kind of a horde mode type thing going on, and all you would need to do is, make a couple I just don't think technically that would be that difficult to make, and I think the quality of it could be pretty decent. Like, you could basically structurally take a game like Killing Floor 2 or any of these games, and just redo the cosmetics. And yeah, I don't know. That might be too much for some people. That's certainly not overt. So, but I'm gonna shut up.
I think there's a lot of things you can do. You could all brainstorm what the potentials are, because there's a lot of them. There's a lot of potentials for good messages that we could give, and good scenarios and historical time periods and all sorts of things, right? I mean, you could take anything said in the early 1800s and have someone read a newspaper where they're like, oh, did you hear about the Haitian massacre, right? Where they rounded up every white person who had helped them overthrow the government and killed them, right? They just murdered every white person left on the island. But yeah.
I think we're at a point where, and I think we're at a point where if somebody even wanted to make a game about the Hulu Tutsi massacre, and like you got to play as a Tutsi who was trying to escape or whatever, I think even that would be not tolerated because it would paint Rwandans in such a negative light.
Yeah, I mean, if you were to do something completely historically accurate from a lot of time periods, they would not like it. All right, so we'll be playing games on Saturday, as we always do. We'll play, again, Fallout New Vegas next Wednesday. You can check out my Twitter for anything I might be saying about the latest happenings, my complaints on the things happening in DC or whatever we're talking about. But otherwise, I think we're done. Any final words here, Krogan?
Not really, other than I should have my Assassin's Creed video out probably by the end of this week. I'm pretty much done with it now, but I need to go through and with my good set of headphones and adjust all the audio levels and tidy up a couple little things and whatnot. I would actually like to get your opinion on it later. Maybe I could render out a rough copy of it.
Okay.
But yeah, that's it. Just expect that video out probably Friday night.
Okay.
I think so.
Assassin's Creed is coming up in just a few days here, people. American Krogan's video. Make sure you have his BitChute channel. All right. Just final comments before we go. Schmerling says, journalists got mad at Resident Evil 5 for having you shoot at black zombies in Africa. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I mean...
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, and it was just like... It's like the setting is Africa. Like,
yeah.
You would expect to see... It's just so weird. And then you compare that with what AAA developers do now, where, case in point is Assassin's Creed Valhalla, 9th century British Isles, and yet you see this surplus of people with extremely inappropriately dark tones of skin.
Yeah.
I mean, and I go into a whole spiel about that in the video, but it's just like, it's just crazy. Like, people are, yeah.
All right. Well, we'll look forward to your video on it. Otherwise, everybody, stay safe, have a good day, and I'll see you on the next stream. Peace.